Hey guys, Jacob here, Moon Rock. Greetings from Denmark. I hope that you're all doing well. I hope that you're all safe um, where you are and that you are not in any way uh, hit by this coronavirus thing. I have a day off today, and this is the first in quite possibly many to come because I've been put on part time for my job, as have most of my colleagues. Because business is slow and our workplace is also struggling, business has almost come to a grinding halt. Um, the businesses in Denmark have different options where they can seek help, and the solution that my workplace has chosen is to put us all on part-time leave, which basically means that we are working 2 days a week with pay, and then we are off 3 days a week, and then on welfare, social support, or whatever it's called where you are. Um, that is obviously that is going to mean that we don't get as much money as we would normally do. But it also means that we get to keep our jobs, at least for now, and we uh, have a signed document from our employer that if we should we find another job whilst being on in this period here where we're only working 2 days, we can actually quit our job with 1 day notice. Now, obviously, no one is hiring at the moment, so it's obviously not a solution. But I mean, should I win the lottery tomorrow, I would most likely, and win a shitload of money, I would most likely use that use that option and just quit my job with 1 day notice. But that is how this agreement works. Most importantly, is that we get to keep our job. The Danish government has sort of mentioned just slowly that things might open up if we are still if the Danes are still doing as they are told, to stay at home, stay away from others, keep the distance if you're out in public. We've been doing quite well. The numbers are they're high, both with people and afflicted with this virus and people who have sadly lost their lives. But um, um, comparing to, for example, Sweden, our neighbor country, they have taken a much more loose approach to this thing, and their death count is just skyrocketing. Thankfully, that's not the case here with us. So, anyways, enough about the coronavirus. I'm at home, and I haven't showered today, and that's why I look like shit. Well, that's not why I look like shit. I just look like shit all the time. But yeah, I have to. I can feel that I have to make good use of these days where I'm at home. I can't just walk around in my PJs all day. I need to get some work done. Otherwise, I'll go completely crazy. One of the things that I can do is start by showing some of the many records that I've been buying in the past months that I haven't shown you yet. And recently I bought 7 albums of a Danish webshop that actually closed down. So they were selling with some really high discounts. Unfortunately, this was only my second ever order with this company. It was tough for them to make ends meet, and they decided to, I think after only being open for about a year, maybe a year and a half, decided to shut the whole thing down. But I got 7 records before they closed down, and I want to show them to you now. Um, I'm stumbling over some 7 inches here on the floor. Bear with me a second. There we go. Okay, records all over the floor here. First of all, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. You all know this, and yes, I do like pop music as well. Justin Timberlake justified his debut solo album from 2002. A great album. I had the great pleasure of catching Justin live on his tour with that was the 2020 Vision album. Not the last one, which sucked, but the one before that was a double record. That was a great concert. But I mean, obviously, this one has Senorita, it has Like I Love You, it has Cry Me a River, it has Rock Your Body. Um, Great album. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that one. You all know that one. I picked up three 90s or three albums that have actually been released. Well, two of them have been released not too long ago, and then one of them is actually a reissue from the 90s. But all of them contain 90s music. The first one is this compilation called Impossible Oddities by the British ambient project The Orb, and then producer, remixer, bassist Youth. He used to be the bassist in Killing Joke, the alternative rock band, and he has been producing and remixing since the late 80s, doing everything from The Orb to Bananarama to Blue Pearl, Naked in the Rain to, if there ever was a dance hit in the late 80s or in early to mid 90s, Youth was probably involved. He also did remixes for U2, for example, for the Pop album. So this is a compilation, like I said, called Impossible Oddities. From Underground to Overground, the story of Wow Mr. Moto record label. So Wow Mr. Moto was a record label that the Orb and Youth started back in the 80s, and it's the label that the Orb released their albums on to begin with. Probably still do, I'm not sure. So this compilation here goes back to the beginning of Wow Mr. Moto record label, and has a lot of cool songs, techno, ambient, house songs from the late 80s, early 90s. So on here we have the Orb, you have In Sync, not In Sync, but In Sync. You have Uncle, not that Uncle, but another Uncle. You have India All Stars, you have Eternity. A really great, there's a lot of glare, sorry. Really great track list, and it just takes you back to that early, like that late 80s, early 90s house sound, techno sound. It's a really, really cool compilation. If you're into 90s electronic music, you should look out for this one. Collector's edition, it says. I'm guessing that the number of records that they pressed for this wasn't too high. Another 90s hero when it comes to electronic music is Goldie. Now Goldie, let me just reach for the CD. I think I showed this CD not too long ago. I was in another video that I did. I was playing this CD in the background here. This Goldie is a legendary drum and bass producer, artist, and he has a record label called Metalheads, or he had a record label called Metalheads, and he this was his debut full-length album called Timeless, a double CD in the old thick CD case. I don't have this on vinyl, fortunately, and this was really, really groundbreaking when it came to drum and bass and jungle in the mid-90s, and Goldie did a compilation called Masterpiece, where he collected some of the best tracks that influenced him, some of the best classic drum and bass tracks, and then some of the best tracks off of his Metalheads label. Now this was a 3 CD compilation with 50 tracks, and then they chose to do the vinyl version with 345 discs. With one song on each side. So this is a 6-song compilation. So compared to the CD, you don't really get a lot on this record here. But I got this dirt cheap, and I got Rejazz, Inner City Life, a cover or a rework of Goldie's old classic hit Inner City Life. This has Dragonfly Visions of Rage if you're into early 90s drum and bass. It has Nookie, Only You, and then some of the old classic 80s songs, Ken Booth, Everything I Own, and Sherelle with Alexander O'Neal, Saturday. Some really cool classic tracks. I would have hoped for more tracks, considering that it's a 50-song, 3-disc CD compilation, and it's only a 6-song vinyl edition. But anyways, I got it cheap. I won't be complaining too much, at least. Another album that I picked up is the reissue of famous Austrian remixers, Kruder und Dorfmeister, um, who are well known for their K&D Sessions album. They released an album. It was a 2 CD and it was a 4 LP set in 1997, I believe. 98 maybe, with some of the best remixes, and it's a classic album if you're into mid to late 90s breakbeat and down tempo, and you just need to pick up Kruder and Dorfmeister's The K&D Sessions. Now they also did an album in the DJ Kicks series, which was released in 1996, I believe, originally. Doesn't say here. I think it was 1996. Once again, the CD is a like 17, 18 track mixed album. The vinyl version back then, and also with this reissue, is a double album 7-track set, but it's still some killer tracks. You have Aqua Sky, you have Hard Floor, you have I can't say that. Thievery Corporation. Sorry, Thievery Corporation. Yeah, it's a great compilation, and these guys' remixes are just amazing. So check it out. Once again, looking back to the 90s. And then I picked up 3 compilations, actually going back even further. So the first one is this really cool double album called Northern Soul, All-Nighter Anthems. Sorry. So this basically has a lot of soul hits from the 60s, from the 70s, which were part of this Northern Soul revival in the UK. In those years, and also in the 80s, where some people just masses of people just look back and onto the old soul movement. Take a movie like The Commitments, which is basically these guys living in rural areas in, is it Ireland? I think it's Ireland. They just they want to listen to and only play soul music like back in the old days. And that was the case with this Northern Soul movement. This album here is released on Rhino, and it has hits from Frankie Valli. It has the Coasters, Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, Chuck Wood, Alice Clark, Curtis Mayfield, Pointer Sisters, Sister Sledge. This is just a really awesome compilation. Check out that track list right there. And once again, I got this dirt cheap. I think I paid like $7 or $8 or something for this. Really happy about this. A lot of cool tracks to be able to play. If you're DJing or if you're visiting friends or hanging out with other vinyl nerds and just playing records to each other. This is a really cool compilation. Northern Soul, All-Nighter Anthems. 2 more compilations. First one is out on Vintage Sounds, and I'm not sure whether this might be one of those record labels where they just do the vinyl masters from a CD, but it sounds okay. I'm not like a huge audiophile guy, and I can't really tell too much whether it's one or the other mastering choice. Anyways, comp is called Reggae Vibrations, and has the subtitle Classics by the Reggae Masters. Now this has Bob Marley, Lee Scratch Perry and the Upsetters, Toots and the Maytals, Horace Andy. It also has Simply Red. Yeah. Sister Nancy, Bam Bam, Marsha Aitken, I'm Still in Love with You, Black Uhuru, The Wailers, Dennis Brown. Man, I mean, come on. That is a killer track list, and once again, some awesome tracks if you're out DJing, and really cool to have this compilation. This is a great way to get some different tracks that you can play if you're out. Instead of buying albums by the individual artists, a comp is really just a great way to get some tracks into your collection and your DJ sets. So the last one is this one here is out on Legacy Recordings, Sony Music, and this is actually the first one that I picked, and I got this for like $5 or something, $6. Studio Rio presents the Brazil Connection What this is a compilation of some old classic tracks, like we're talking "Walk On By," Aretha Franklin, Bill Withers' "Lovely Day," Marvin Gaye's "Sexual Healing," Andy Williams' "Music to Watch Girls By," Mel Torme, "I've Got You Under My Skin," and then they've all been Brazilified, and they've all been turned into bossa nova, samba hits, Brazilian style, and it sounds cheesy as hell, and it is, and I love it. As a big fan of Brazilian music, being able to play these classic tracks in a Brazilian kind of mood is just awesome. I highly recommend, if you can, if you stumble across this album here, this compilation here, get it, because it's just so nice to listen to. And with the summer coming up, and maybe you can bring your turntable outside, have a nice cool drink, and just listen to some bossa nova. Bill Withers' "Lovely Day," man. Yeah, come on. Yeah, those are the seven records that I picked up at this web shop closing down. I have more albums to show you. I won't go too long on this video here. So that's it for now, guys. Stay safe. Stand together, but be apart, right? Don't get too close to each other. Take care, guys. Bye bye.